Thanks, Goose. It's the dawn of the Dark Ages. The hordes are at the gate and the sun is well and truly setting on the Roman Empire. It's Total War Attila.
I have seen the end of days, and years from now men will say, here began the fall of Rome.
The Total War series continues its march through history, and this time Attila and his hordes of Huns are the cover boys.
I have to admit, Barjo, that while I'd obviously heard of Attila the Hun, I didn't know a whole lot about who he was and what he did exactly. So I was quite excited to jump into this and find out about what this period history was all about.
Yeah, the Total War games are pretty good history teachers, actually. If you've never played one in the series, it's basically a mash of turn-based and real-time strategy.
There's a huge campaign map where you manage your empire and plan out your grand ambition. And when armies clash, you can go down onto the field to direct thousands of troops in battle.
Total War games are always scrappy affairs. You start off with all your units in neat little rows, hoping your brave soldiers will hold the line till the very end. But before long, those lines start to crumble under the weight of flanking cavalry, raining arrows, and 1,000 swords clashing.
Yeah, it's all about positioning, isn't it? Holding the high ground or pulling off some clever flanking maneuvers makes all the difference. To the point where a well-placed and cleverly commanded force can even take on armies well over twice their size.
I love those moments, Hex, where you think you have no chance, but then some smart decisions and maybe a bit of luck, and you can manage to pull off a win.
The enemy are broken. They turn and run.
They're just such great fist pump moments.
Yeah, but then so much rides on just making sure your men don't freak out and run away, doesn't it? Morale is a huge factor in any battle, since your men will only fight as long as their morale holds out. As they suffer losses, get flanked, or find their general has been slaughtered, they start to crack and eventually give up.
Their general is dead!
It's just so frustrating sometimes when you watch your men turn tail and run. Just stand and fight to the last man, you cowards!
The men aren't giving up and are running for their lives. This is a shameful display.
All up, I think this is some of the best action that we've seen from the series. It's just got that scissors, paper, rock strategy that still works so well, where melee beats spears, spear beats cavalry, cavalry beat melee, while those archers and artillery just rain down pain until you take care of them. And they haven't messed with that formula too much. It's just a few little tweaks that help it all flow a bit better. Units now take longer for their morale to break, giving you valuable seconds to evaluate the situation and implement new strategies.
Units are now also more likely to regain their composure and be ready to charge back into battle, so things don't tend to fall apart so quickly.
Our men are rallying! They're not done yet!
The AI also feels more responsive and willing to push their advantage. Give them an opening and they'll take it.
I also like that the siege battles aren't just capture the flag affairs now. Previously, if you could get into the town centre and hold it, you'd score an automatic victory. So one rogue unit could sneak around the side, get him behind the battle lines and win the day.
But now holding the town centre just gives you a big morale boost, which is still important, but at least it's not an auto fail if it falls into enemy hands.
So ultimately, all these tweaks add up to make a noticeable difference. Naval battles are back too, but they're still not much fun in my opinion. I've never really figured out how to use any sense of strategy to win on the high seas, other than through sheer force of numbers.
The ship is being assaulted! Cast them back!
Yeah, naval battles for me just go straight to the auto-resolve button. Of course, there happen a few changes in the campaign map too. The biggest is that this time you can play as a horde faction, such as the Huns. Now, they're actually a returning feature from the Barbarian Invasion expansion from the first Rome Total War.
They're such a welcome return, aren't they? The hordes really force you to change up your tactics. In a horde, each army basically doubles as a mobile city, carrying their buildings and civilization around with them.
They can make camp anywhere for a few turns to improve their buildings and catch their breath, or they can capture a city and settle down to become a more traditional civilization. But then they can quickly pack up their things and get back on the move. Although your horde seems to lose all of the building upgrades you've made and then returns to square one if you settle down and then pick back up again, which seems like a huge penalty.
Yeah, I can see why they've done it though. They don't want settling down to be a small decision. You have to be serious about it. I also never really figured out how to use the hordes effectively, but I did quite enjoy rampaging the land and flattening cities, trying to figure that out.
Politics and family disputes now play a bigger part with random political events cropping up, and how you deal with them can mean the difference between having a united empire or starting a civil war.
I was just guessing which course of action to take with those.
Yeah, well, I guess they're trying to make it so that there is no right answer. I mean, every action will have some sort of reaction, so you kind of just have to go with your gut.
And that's fair enough, I think. There's also now an element of climate change that goes on throughout the campaigns, as the northern climates become colder, reducing the productivity and worth of northern regions, which I thought was a nice way to mix up the endgame.
Yeah, that said though, and I hate to say this, even though I do think this is one of the best Total War games there've been, this is the 9th game in the series and I'm starting to find them a bit samey. I'm really starting to burn out on these.
I don't know, I think they're onto a good formula, and especially with strategy games, it's quite difficult to reinvent that kind of game with each release.
Yeah, the real-time battles are still really thrilling, but the campaigns are just becoming a bit of a grind.
Yeah, they are a bit exhausting. You can almost never afford to have anywhere near as many troops as you'd like, and you're always finding yourself struggling to keep everything together.
Yeah, they're really tough. You know, I'm always saving up to everything I do in this game because I know that the slightest wrong move can and will come back to bite me.
I still really enjoy the challenge though. I like having these campaigns just burning away in the background. You know, you wait for a lonely night where you load it up, destroy a civilization or two, and then put it away for a while.
The enemy are broken. They turn and run.
Yeah, there is no denying this is quality strategy and one of the best entries into the franchise.
I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars.
It's 3 stars from me.
The general is dead. A lethal blow.